Welcome to the Museum of Aquarium and Pet History's first unboxing. We're going to unbox two artifacts that we just got in recently that I have not opened yet because these are pretty special items and I want to just do an unboxing on them. All right, so we'll start with this first one here. Let's see here. You guys will be impressed, so don't touch that dial. Do. Lots of packing material. This guy was a good packer. Invoice. Picture of other things that he makes. I hate it when they tape it to the bottom of the box, but that should be everything. Okay, so in order to open this and not damage the item, that's always the trick. Some people get carried away with bubble wrap. In this case, he did not, and he was a prop master who decided he was going to take old Apple computers and make them into aquariums. And in this case, what we have is an iMac, and it's a iMac G3 ruby red from 1999 to 2002. And it has been made into an aquarium, which is pretty darn cool. So you could see, and then in the back he's got the opening. It's actually really neat. Now, things like this, they are very collectible, especially iMacs. And I actually went to our IT guy at the company and said, "You ever see these old ones?" And he said, "No, very, very seldom." So it kind of convinced me that maybe we need this for the museum, but somehow, well, it's got all the controls and it's got where it hooks up to your computer, which is neat, but he's got, and it's actually an acrylic aquarium inside, but he's got it covered in plastic, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to come off. We got the front off. Now we have the acrylic tank that he put in there. And as you can see, he's got an LED light which plugs into right here. And the LED is probably, I don't see any adhesive, so not quite sure. And then inside he has a little internal filter, Tetra internal power filter, and it looks like he's got the guts to the computer in here, which is really interesting. So that's right there. So we'll have to figure out how the light goes. I'm going to have to do a little more research on that. And I don't think it shines from underneath. I doubt that. Okay, so he's got this so it basically will sit right in the front. So I don't want to clamp this back on before I get this whole thing figured out. But as you can see, it is a really cool ruby red vintage iMac computer with an acrylic tank, probably about 2 to 3 gallons, with filter, with LED lights. It's pretty neat. It really is pretty cool. Now, things like this I have seen television sets, quite a few television sets made into aquariums. I have seen beer kegs, believe it or not, made into aquariums. That's very cool. I've seen arcade machines, and probably the neatest thing I saw, which was at a trade show in Europe at Interzoo, I saw a Rolls Royce, and they actually made the whole car into an aquarium. That was really neat. So again, I'll probably have this at some point set up to show you guys, but right now it would take me a couple hours to do that, and I want to get on to the next box, which is even cooler, to show you what that is. All right, so that's the IMac Aquarium Ruby Red from 1999 to 2002. All right. All right, so this is really impressive. What's in this box for the museum is something that is 200 years old, amazingly rare. In fact, there's a similar one, not quite like this one, but just as old, at Buckingham Palace in England. So to give you an idea of the rarity, the packing on this came from a real high-end auction house that we've never dealt with before. So we paid a fortune to have it boxed up. So it's not going to be easy to unbox, because when you have something this rare, you're paying a lot of extra money to have them make it so it comes in intact, because you don't want to take something that's this rare and ship it unprofessionally, and then you've got something 200 years old that's broken because it wasn't packed correctly. I mean, I could just tell the detail. Like the cardboard is double wall, which is really important. Look at the foam. The foam fits perfectly on top, and I'm sure they have foam all the way around it, which they do. And there's two different boxes in here because there's two different items. All right, I'm gonna have to put this down so I can get these boxes out, because I can't pull them out from there. All right. Okay, box number one, box number two. Okay, here we go. Again, amazing packing job. You could just tell it took somebody easily between 2 and 3 hours to box this up, which is, when you have something that's this valuable, that's really how much time it takes. It's not easy. Okay. Again, foam and double foam plus foam all the way around it. Okay, so this one I'll do second because I know what it is, and this one I will do first. All right, because they go with each other, but I want this one first. Oops. Okay. So this is the base, and it's got eagle wings and eagle feet that are gilded. It's a blue enamel base with a black inside, and it's fairly heavy. Most of these were tin, but this one doesn't feel like tin to me, which that leads me to believe that this was probably earlier than the majority of the cages that I see. A lot of times when you unwrap these things, you want to unwrap them the same way that they wrapped them. Don't try to go against how they wrap the cage, because you could wind up bending something, and that's not fun. Last thing you want to do is open something up that took them 3 or 4 hours to pack and wind up bending it or breaking it. Alright, so these are tags from the auction house. I want to take these off. All right. Okay, we got, looks like one more. Bottom. All right. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here is the bulk of the cage part. You could see this really cool door. Again, it's a blue enamel and it's outlined in gilt with this cool little handle here, and the door lifts. It looks to be original paint. Obviously, it went from one wealthy home to maybe stay there its whole entire life, and eventually was put up for auction. But these are the holders for the bird feeders with the opening for the feeder to go in. And this is again pre-bird feeder, where they actually put in the mold of the feeder, they put the little inlet that you can actually clip onto the cage. This is the that, where they actually had to make the clips and make them incorporated to part of the cage. This is broken off, one of the little holders. But that's an easy fix. Your clips need to go on the cage, so if you lift it, the bottom comes with it, and see the clips are not, they're not really sticking. That's pretty normal for these not to stick. Yeah, so that's going to have to be fixed on the clips. Now, the taste des results. This is actually going to be how we date this piece, and this is really what makes this an amazing find. And it's the last thing in the world you ever want to break. And this is foam everywhere. He's got probably, or she or he, whoever packed it's got 6 inches of foam on the bottom. So there's another way to pack too. There's a new product that you actually can, I think it comes flat, and you activate it and you put it in around like the cage, for instance, and it blows up and it makes a foam cushion exactly the size of the cage or whatever you're trying to package. So it's a brand new product that I've seen out there. I really like it. I think that some of these auction houses should think about using that. It's interesting, they wrap this a different way, which was very smart. And you have to be so careful because, you know, you don't want a razor blade to hit the glass. That would not be fun. Oh, there we go. Perfect. And luckily they taped it on the inside, not on the outside where it has been hand painted. So we have a scene on the outside, and the auction house said this is probably Dutch, and I agree, because there is a wooden one where the base is wood, and it has a ship with a Dutch flag on it. So I believe these probably are Dutch. Made from the late 1700s to the early 1800s. So these were the first illusion bird cages. So what you had is you had a perch that went in here, and it came up into the inside bowl and had a little feed cup, and so your canary would fly up there, sit on the inside perch, and eat the seed out of the feed cup, and you would have fish swimming around the outside bowl. So you would have this illusion of the bird basically living underwater with the fish. That's called the illusion bird cage. And you could see how intricate the cage is with the little women right here all the way around. This is definitely not American, this is European, and I believe it's Dutch, and I would guesstimate late 1700s to the early 1800s. Hendryx and Oliver Lindemann both made these kind of cages starting in about 1880, and Hendryx was the last one to make them, and they finished about 1910, and then the illusion birdcage was gone. Again, Buckingham Palace has an illusion birdcage in an old illustration, but I don't know, is it in storage? Who would know? I think I'm going to write them a letter or email and see where that cage is. And I might need to go over there and check it out. I would guess if they still have that cage that the bowl is broken, because almost every time you find a cage, and there's not many of those out there, the bowl is broken. And to find somebody that can blow these kind of bowls is next to impossible. This one here, again, I originally thought that they were a one piece, but they are a two piece. There's two bowls and they've attached it. You can see on the bottom there. But what makes it so old is the painting on the bowl. This was done definitely pre-1850s to late 1700s is when they actually decorated the outside of these bowls. So this is a Dutch 200-year-old illusion birdcage. Incredibly rare. I probably have some feeders that will work on this. And again, there's been a few of these cages that I've seen through the ages, through the last 30 or 40 years of actually acquiring bird cages and whatnot. We have over 300 bird cages in the museum, and we are going to get to all of those at some point. I know that I've been letting down my bird cage friends because I've been talking so much about fish, but I had to talk about this today because this is just so cool. And when it came up for auction, I was just really excited about it because it predates any that we have in the museum. And it also confirms that really the illusion birdcage started in Europe. It wasn't an American invention, it was a European invention, and probably the Dutch, which is interesting because the best bowl blowers were the Poles, Poland, and the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia back then. Those were some of the best, fishbowl blowers in the world. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for next one. All right, take care, guys. Bye.